Okay, there we
Cool.
go. Well, go ahead, ma'am.
All right, so this is the Ad Hoc Training Committee of the Commission on Peace Practices getting started. So the first thing on our agenda is an update from Paul on a number of things. You want to just take it away, Paul?
Sure. Thank you very much, Darlene. So here's what I have. In reference to, let's just go in the order I have my notes. So the CPP handbook first and foremost. So what we did was you provided a really good structure for how you think the handbook should be. What we did, and the reason you folks did not get a copy is because we were having publishing issues. We had to send everything to the publisher. Our printer was down. And so because of that, we weren't able to give it out last week, as I think I mentioned. But when we sent everything to the publisher, and there's a stack of stuff, they did front and back for things, but they wanted it as a packet, so it wasn't in the order it should be. So some of the stuff is printed, you know what I mean, like double side when it's the end of one thing and the beginning of another that will be in different sections. So we're going to work through that, do the best we can. We will have the binders handed out next Wednesday, the 21st. So we're working on that this week. We don't have quite everything that you had recommended, and I don't have those things right in front of me. There's just some things I still need to put together, but it will be a comprehensive binder, and we'll work to build that out as we move forward. So that is number one. Number two, the CPP overview training for the basic, very, very basic. There are going to be a couple overview trainings, pretty much stemming from the onboarding Training Academy adopted plan that you folks approved. What we did last week was just we had a 2-hour block for 3 of the new commissioners. 2 could not make it, and that 3-hour block talked about the Brown Act, confidentiality, code of ethics, things along those lines. Just a very bare bone basic stuff. We didn't even get into parliamentary stuff, so we did that. I sent an email out this evening to the other 2 commissioners who have not yet, who couldn't attend, just to check availability. I got to coordinate with Dwayne. So we're hoping we can maybe do something this week, okay? Because he'll be the one to give, so that the 5 of them will be on the same page. So that's that. In reference to the other topics that you have on the onboarding plan, I love them. It's going to take several other people to get involved, as you know. I mean, you have the Better Management Impact, you have Success Factors folks, you have Dwayne, myself. We even have some of them need to be put on by the chair, and there's even one for a NACO rep and things like that. So these are things that I am willing, I if it's okay with you folks, can take the lead in working with those people to put it together. Again, Zoom, virtual, and then record them for future use. Is that what you folks envisioned?
Yeah, I think so. I think I did hear that the one that happened recently, unfortunately, didn't get recorded. So I guess you get to do that with the next round. Yeah,
that's exactly that's right.
The only thing I do wonder about is I'm pretty sure the stuff on that onboarding, some of it, none of us have gotten yet, right? So just because it's on that onboarding list doesn't mean we all got it. And for you to know what we've had so far, I think that spreadsheet that I made about tracking training should be able to show you, because each tab in that spreadsheet, there's a tab for onboarding and there's a tab for case review. And there's no other tabs because we haven't adopted anything else. So I don't know if that's helpful or.
It's very helpful, and it's very, very helpful, and it will help me to plan moving forward on how, on getting these things recorded, but then also because we can't have the quorum there, unless we're doing it at our meetings. And quite frankly, the cabinet and this commission have very aggressive agendas already. And I think if we can do them kind of like we're doing the orientation, like with just a group that doesn't meet a quorum, record it, and then I don't know, we can work through that and then kind of track through Success Factors who takes those trainings, get them uploaded and track them that way. Okay, so that's what I'd like to do. But yeah, no, you're tracking on who has what is wonderful. It's very helpful. So now here's what I do have I just wanted to have I have a question. So the case review. Now I've looked at the case review what you folks have approved to move forward. And, a lot of that stuff, Dwayne can cover a lot of the legal components with the search and seizure and the legal guide and all these things, right? Olga's on there for some of those things for the CPP chief investigator to go over. Sharon Fairley, we'll touch on her right now. September 4th, not the 5th. The 4th is actually when our meeting was supposed to be. She's available on that date. She'll do the decision making on that date. We are simply waiting. We are working her through the process with the city. She's now a vendor, but now there are other things that John A is working with the city to get her fully ready to go for us for the 4th. But she's committed to doing the decision making. But back to the case review. Some of the things on there, and I love the videos. There are two wonderful videos that are highlighted on there. One's by Nicole Formby. He's on there, and one is from PBS Frontline about uses of force.
That's it. Use of force. Okay.
Both of them are about uses of force. I think they're great foundational videos. My question is, some of the training that's on this case review is almost as if we're training commissioners to be investigators in a sense. Like some of it's pretty detailed. And since we are in the process of making those job offers to the investigators and whatnot, I don't know what the extent of, I think the commissioners should be given a wonderful overview, just like these videos do. But as far as like really getting into the deep, like how to investigate officer-involved shootings and in custody deaths, I don't really know if that's how in-depth you folks want to go. I think an overview is wonderful. You get trained investigators who were supposed to be doing that, present to you folks. So that was the question I had about how in-depth on those uses of force, officer-involved shootings do you want? High-level overview, investigators trained, or you really want to get in the weeds on this?
Right. My personal opinion, and I don't know how you feel, Dennis, my personal opinion is that we want to have enough exposure that when we are having cases presented to us, or when we're on our case review teams, that we have enough information to be able to assess those things, right? Because I'm not the only, I definitely feel like my background is inadequate a lot of the time when I'm doing these case reviews, and I'm not the only commissioner that's shared that feeling. So, but I definitely think that training us to be investigators is overboard, and I don't know how to determine what we need. I rely on you and Olga and whoever that have more expertise to know what do we need.
For me, Dennis, before you weigh in, if I may, for me, what I found just with my previous experiences, what I found that the commissioners or people that are in your position like and what they need are the policies, the laws, the understanding of the policies, the understanding of the statutory laws, but also some case law. Policies deep dive. Policies, you should know the policies better than the officers do. I think commissioners should know that better than officers do. I really do. Case law, statutory law, you should know it. The basic ones about uses of force and stuff like that. As far as how to conduct those investigations, the way you process the scene, and no. That's my opinion. And then from a civilian perspective, once you're given, it's just like a jury. Once you're given the jury instructions, once you're given that foundation, what's it look like to you? That's what matters. If you're given the foundation first, does that help?
I concur with you. That makes a lot of sense. I looked at, you said policy, laws, case law, and statutory law. That's a lot. That's a lot for people to know. Beyond that, I think that the investigators can give us their knowledge of what the investigation process was,
right,
and what conclusions that they come. That will allow us to make the decisions that we need to make about the presentation we're going to make to the regular commission.
I like that a lot. Darlene, how's that sound to you?
Yeah, that sounds good. I did have another thought as you were both talking, is I also wonder about, so there's case review, we need to know about use of force, but there's also when we do policy review,
Mhm.
and that's a different kind of knowledge base, because we need to know, like, what are other police departments doing across the country with respect to use of force, and how are things changing, and like what's considered best practice, or and how, like, where is a good idea for San Diego to try and move the needle with respect
And
to use of force.
I look at the young man that we just hired, who's going to start September 3rd as our policy manager. That's his job. That's what I want to be working with him on, and having him research. Hey, what are the other departments doing for use of force? Search, what you name it, right? Tell me what it is. Tell us what it is. Have him then put that out there and do the training on that, and then let the commission decide. Oh, okay. Well, what do we want to do with this? Right? That's his job, in my opinion. So I hope that will help.
Okay. And then I had another thought that's taking us kind of a little bit on it's related but different topic. So we have this case review training academy, and as it needs to change, right? Like maybe there's things in there that need to be removed or whatever. I don't know, Dennis, if you have a thought about how the cabinet feels, because the commission has said, yes, we bless this. But when they blessed it, I did present to them that this is a living, breathing document, right? Because it can evolve. So I'm not sure like how we communicate that evolution, or if that's even necessary. Am I getting too much in the weeds? You tell me.
I think that's something that I can't speak for the cabinet because we haven't talked about it. So we need
Man.
to, that needs to go on our agenda, Paul.
Okay, and we could talk. And so, Darlene, we're having a cabinet meeting tomorrow, tomorrow night. So let me just take a note for that. But what I would imagine is when you folks approved the syllabus, basically, like the schedule, the course curriculum, or whatever. Do I understand correctly that you said that this can be changed as we go? It is a living, breathing document. It can be amended as we move forward. Because if that's the case, then I should be able to come to you folks. Because I do believe, if I understand correctly, my role, I'd like to take the lead on, you folks provide, you tell us the direction, I implement it. And if I implement it and we come up with something different, where obviously I bring it to you folks and say, here's what we're doing. And before I do it, to get the permission of the commission. But we can talk more about it tomorrow, Dennis, like you said. I think that makes sense. Okay. One of the other things I was a little concerned about, and I had followed the CPP's, growth and evolution, and when you folks were just getting off the ground, really last year, there was a concern, I thought, about having SDPD train you folks on some things. We didn't want to have the training of the people that we are giving the oversight to, giving us the training, telling us how it is, right? I agree with that. However, I do think that when it comes to their policies and their practices, and I think you folks have rightly identified like what do they do for de-escalation? What is their use of force? Like how do they train for use of force, de-escalation, things like that? So I think that's good. But I don't want to do much more than that with SDPD. I think we should be going outside. That's fair, correct? I'm on the right page with that?
100%, I think, like that.
Yeah,
and that's what we've tried to reflect in those training academy notes. Hopefully that's been clear in there. Like, we want to know what's SDPD doing, and then there might be another line on the same topic that's more looking at, what we can look, what should use of force be, or what should de-escalation be, and is that what SDPD doing or not, right?
Let me work on that. Thank you for that guidance, because I was looking at it and I was like, I really, with all due respect to the PD, I just think that you need to have that general overview and their policies, yes, their practices, yes, But again, get the policy manager involved and look at what's going on in other places and stuff like that. So,
Well, the resistance has always been, well, it's been a couple things. First of all, removing ourselves from previous practices, while keeping previous practices that were good. Now, that's somewhat of a contradiction, but it is the reality. There was a lot of criticism that, particularly from the authors of Measure B, that we should not at all have SDPD train us because we are what we will find in investigation is that a lot of things they do are either wrong or morally wrong. And so the idea was to have outside people come in and give us some ideas of what can be improved of what SDPD is doing. That was one of the conditions. The other condition is there was a coziness that was suspected that was happening between Commission and SDPD, and in order to have appropriate oversight, the desire was that there be a business and professional relationship and a positive relationship with SDPD, but not one in which people are perceived as cozying up to them. And so that's why there has been resistance to go directly to SDPD training.
Understood. I agree that there needs to be a good collaborative relationship. We should be wanting the same things, but for us to look at the practice, we need the policy manager. We need to look at the best practices and whatnot as we move forward. But their policies, we need to know those inside and out. And
some of it, it's kind of what we're dealing with IA right now.
Understood. Yes.
There's not universal trust there yet.
Understood. All right. The one other update, reference to the anti-bias training. After our last meeting, it struck me that every lawyer, as part of their continuing training, it's either every year or every other year, they have to take a 2-hour block of anti-bias training. So I reached out to Dwayne, and just for grins, right? Like, so that there's not we talked about Muscle ARC and maybe some of the other entities that, we just want to be clear of the issues, right? So Dwayne provided some vendors. Full disclosure, I haven't reached out to them yet. But he said, that's a good idea. Yeah, we do have to get that training. So I'm going to research what those companies. I don't have them right in front of me. He did give them to me. I have not followed up on that yet. So unfortunately, I don't have an update other than I want to be as I think it's independent to use people that the lawyers use in this state to get their continuing education. Okay, so I think that's defendable and it seems to be independent. So I'll provide you an update on that as we move forward. Okay, but I don't think I have any other topics to update you folks on. I think that covers my list.
Okay, so I have some questions. I know we already talked about this, but the new commissioners are getting we're going through the onboarding, and some of us might not have gotten things. So what are your thoughts about how to make that happen? Just because I'm nosy, I trust you, Paul. I want you to know that I trust you. I just kind of am curious what your plan is.
What I wanted to do, and when I sent you folks the email last time when we were doing this the basic CPP overview, and I asked you folks in the email if there's something about if there are other commissioners. I don't remember what the verbiage was, but I put that out there. Like, I also want to cover the other commissioners who didn't get this. So that was the last one. I didn't hear back, and so I'm just going to move forward because there are some. I can think of it. I know one right now that could definitely has not had Brown Act. I know for a fact he hasn't had it. It's on the spreadsheet that he hasn't had. He's told me he hasn't had it, and so I just heard back from the 2 new commissioners. I think I mentioned to you folks, I asked their availability for Wednesday and Thursday of this week. The one gentleman is available both days, and Commissioner Ortega just responded and said she's available Wednesday. So what we'll do, so I will work with Dwayne and then make sure you folks are in the loop as well. If you want to come by, introduce yourselves or whatever, not come by, but pop into the Zoom Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. So from 6 to 8 Wednesday night, these two commissioners will be trained. I also will look at the spreadsheet that you have for Brown Act, conflict of interest, confidentiality. And if there are any commissioners that haven't received that yet, I'll reach out to them. And also say, hey, Wednesday night, 6 to 8 Zoom, here's a link. And I will make sure there's no quorum violated. Does that help?
Okay. That helps. And then selfishly, I'm thinking about the things that I haven't gotten yet that I want. So I just don't want to miss out on an opportunity like ethics. Like I got like whatever was the little bit of ethics, but apparently there's a broader NACOL ethics that I'm not exposed to or whatever. Because I think in the onboarding, there's multiple ethics things listed in there. And maybe I don't need it. I don't know,
Well,
so
I can tell you that we do. Dwayne covers it a little bit in this onboarding. He did cover ethics. He did cover the NACOL code of ethics. It wasn't a deep dive, but it was touched on. It was there. It was like, hey, here it is. And that I'm sure he will do again Wednesday night. If that's not covered, if you show up, I can cover it. I mean, whatever, right? So, with each subsequent training, because I have to coordinate a lot of this is going to be Dwayne based, right? He's going to be the one providing it, the legal guide and things like that, the Brown Act, parliamentary, all the things that need the basics. That's all him. So I'm going to work with him first, check his ability, and then I'll keep the training committee involved. And then, so that you folks know, and then I'll reach out to folks based on that spreadsheet with, of course, the approval of the cabinet to do so, the okay, and say, hey, go ahead and do it. And then I'll monitor, make sure we don't have a quorum. We'll get the trainings done and videoed and crossed off. The onboarding ones will be the easy ones. It's the case review stuff that are more in-depth. More hands will be in it. And we'll work through those.
Yeah, and I just did a quick scan of the onboarding thing, and probably the thing that I feel like I personally haven't had any introduction to at all is POBAR. I got nothing. I don't think anybody on the commission knows that.
Yeah, and I think on your spreadsheet, I don't think that's not been covered. Right. It's simple. I can cover it. I know Dwayne can cover it. It's not really a lot. Everybody talks about POBAR. There are only a couple of mandated things. So let me work with Dwayne on that, because I agree. That's a major thing. And you commented that I printed out the whole code, and maybe that would be a different way to do that. That is the simplest way to do it. And one of those codes, no, it's not that it's a lot, but it really isn't. A lot of the stuff you don't even deal with when it comes to POBAR. You only deal with 2 or 3 things. It's all about the timeliness, how many people interview, notifications. That's really it. You can cover it in 10 minutes.
So maybe that's something for a commission meeting.
That would be simple to do at a commission meeting. But again, it's a matter of, because of the aggressiveness, because of the packed nature of that's the problem with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, just throwing that out there.
All right.
Okay. Then what were my other questions? What about, we have some videos that commissioners could complete on their own that we talked about. Where's my little note? Oh, it's over here. And I don't want to put more work on commissioners' plates, but if we thought, so we have you already mentioned like the use of force videos that are on our Training Academy case review. So I don't know, do we want to suggest the commissioners do that at their leisure or whatever, or do we want to just lay off for now? And like what's the best timing for those kinds of things?
Things need to happen, before they do any case reviews, ideally, correct? But I want to make sure everyone gets their onboarding first. One of the things, we don't have the foundation yet. And so those 2 videos, I think we can upload. I think they're very good, both of them, honestly. I think that PBS series is wonderful, quite frankly. And then Formby stuff or whatever his name is, it's good. It's good overview. We can upload those into Success Factors. Once we can work with the city to get the Success Factor, and then it can be tracked that way without us having to track it, boom, that way. So I think that those should be uploaded. I do think that those should be assigned as a foundation for use of force, both of them, because they're from outside the department. And then when we begin to look at the policies of the department and talking about the policies for use of force and discharge of firearms and stuff, we can be more specific to the department that way. It's a matter of now who goes over and provides those policy overviews. Two, who is going to provide the SDPD policy and procedure overviews? I mean, technically, it's their policy and procedure. Those probably the ones that do it, but I've never had that done where I came from before. It was the director or the director and chief investigator who would say, here's the policy, here's the procedure, here's what it means, here's how you folks should interpret it. But I'll work through with Olga on that because we'll get the PD's interpretation, but really, what does the policy and procedure say, and really who should be training on that? So I don't know if I answered your question.
I think it makes sense that Olga could do that.
I agree. She's got a lot too. So, she and I, we need to work. She needs to be brought into this process for the training. But keep in mind, I wanted to kind of hold off on her until those investigators are hired, because she's going to be giving them the exact same training as far as policies and procedures. And if that happens, then maybe we can record that. And then what she gives to the investigators, and then have that boom to the commissioners from that basic foundational perspective.
I like that. That sounds so efficient. I love efficiency.
I'm trying.
Okay,
right,
then
so what else do you have?
My next question is also, there was an idea that, and maybe we already talked about this a little bit, so I'm sorry I'm rehashing, but there was supposedly a video that NACOL had on ethics and decorum and stuff like that. But it sounds like we maybe need to update our training academy, that stuff isn't really necessary, that whatever Dwayne gives on ethics is good enough.
I think that's where we need to go. I would think with his experience, in concert with mine and Olga's, all three of us have come from other civilian entity, oversight entities. We've had a role in different ones. I think we can cover that stuff, honestly.
Okay, and I apologize for it still being on the list. It's just like those training academies were created based on people suggesting stuff, and so it just got on there. And I don't think anybody knew enough to hone it down. So this is good.
No worries. I'd like to hone one thing down, though. I want to talk about one more thing, if it's okay, because it was on my list and I can't remember writing. We had Andrea St. Julian come, a month and a half ago? And she did the whole overview on how we got here. She talked about Measure B, CRB, Measure B, CPP. We did that. And that was recorded at our meeting. However, there were some things that were said that we had to kind of change, we had to kind of address at the next meeting about gatekeepers and who reports to whom and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's your background. There's a huge block on I don't remember which academy module it is. I thought it was onboarding, but it's about the history of civilian oversight, history of CPP, and it really included community. It had a lot of, it had Mid-City Can, and it had San Diego for Justice. It had the things that Andrea kind of touched on. So my question is, as far as civilian oversight, the history, I made these presentations to city managers all throughout the county, as far as the history of civilian oversight from a national, state, and local perspective. Now, when it came to San Diego, of course, that wasn't my area of expertise, but we already had Andrea's recording. How do we want to use these other organizations again to provide this overview training? Because I think we have had the training. And I think if we can just give a general overview to our new commissioners. We don't need to give it to our current commissioners anymore. They have it. Our new commissioners coming forward in my opinion, need to know, here's what CRB happened. Here's what Measure B tried to do. Here's what CPP is. Here's where we are now with Meet and Confer. Here's some of the fights we had along the way. Here's what we anticipate. And that's it. I don't know if we have to keep saying over and over and over again, the history and this and that. Thoughts?
Real quickly, are you talking about local history? Or are you talking about national history?
Well, we talk about all of it. I think civilian oversight doesn't just exist in a vacuum, right? It stems from a lot of stuff that happened nationwide, but then ultimately gets to San Diego.
Right.
San Diego is what Andre St. Julian gave. We have that recorded.
The reason I ask is because NACO provided that information, and it went for the original civilian oversights going back to the 20s and 30s, and brought it up till today. If you want to do a historical piece that deals with how civilian oversight has evolved and the reasons that it evolved, then I would even go to their particular training. It's part of, and they have it online.
Absolutely. That's such a great, and I don't know why. Thank you. And I think you folks have already said this, but yeah, thank you, Dennis. I think that I'll reach out to, Karen or Tina or someone over, or Cami or whoever at NACO that I can, see where their video library is, see what they have, because that foundational stuff, we can maybe just, boom, here it is.
Right.
You mandate to view it, put in success factors or something, make it happen. And then that combined with Andre St. Julian's presentation that she's already made, I think let's start moving forward. Let's start moving forward is what I would hope that we do.
I think we can definitely do that, because when Andrea's presentation was scheduled, I was coordinating with Andrea and touching base with her. And originally she didn't want to speak for everybody. She didn't think that was appropriate. But then she said, like, I went back and forth with her, and she said she thought it would be okay. And then I think, for example, Kate was there and she was fine with it. And then Kate submitted something that kind of we got something via email or something from Kate.
You did.
So I feel like,
Yep.
I feel comfortable that we're done with that. I don't think we're going to get pushback from the community on that, because
Okay.
that's my impression. I feel really good about that. And then
Okay, I
the
feel
only
better.
thing
Thank you.
And the only thing I would say about the history overall, like beyond San Diego, whenever a video is recommended for the commission to watch, I would really love that it's vetted, like someone's already watched it locally, and yes, it's 100% appropriate for us. It meets our needs, because there've been, like, in the past, and I know my 1 year anniversary isn't up yet, and now I'm an old guard, right? But people have suggested, oh, NACO has a video for that, NACO has a video for that, and then I go hunt it down, I watch this thing, and it doesn't meet my needs at all. And I do not want to waste commissioners' time. So
I don't either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very well. Duly noted. Thank you. What else do you have for anything else?
okay, I have a couple more things. So what is the rebuilding trust with the community still on your radar to try and schedule something? Like we were talking about the exhaling injustice, Tasha Williamson doing something at some point for us?
Yeah, maybe I didn't quite understand that I was supposed to be doing something with that. Sorry.
Well, it was just on the list because it is on one of our training academy lists. I can't remember which one. Might be.
I don't remember.
Maybe it's
I remember you saying that, but I got to tell you. So hear me out just for a minute. So as far as rebuilding trust with the community or whatever, I can tell you that what I've seen over the last couple of months that I've been here, what you folks have done in tackling right now, the number one issue, pretext, number one, pursuit, because it's also racially disparate, and then protest policies. I think you're rebuilding trust with the community. I think you're already doing that with looking at these major policies having these town halls or community hearings or whatever you'd like to call them, and giving people the opportunity, and then, you know, following up again. So I know that this upcoming agenda is going to talk about, okay, we heard from the community on pretext. Now what's next? We're doing it with the pursuit. So I don't know what that means, rebuilding trust with the community, because I think you folks are doing it. Clark didn't do this like this, not like this, to really have these substantive meetings where you have people coming and like, this is important stuff. I mean, yeah, we dealt with in custody deaths. That's nothing's more important than in custody deaths. I get that. But the way you folks are approaching this, how much better, what do you mean? What else are you looking at to trust with the community? Because you're already doing it.
Well, like, and you know what, that particular topic is on our special topics list that the commission hasn't all 100% approved yet. So we can just keep it on that list, and because I feel like the training agenda is pretty darn full, and I don't think we're ready to dive into special topics.
I would agree that every part of the CPP's agenda is full, whether it's training, whether it's the issues you folks are wanting to tackle in the community hearings. It's awfully aggressive. And the problem is we're going to start leaving commissioners, staff, and even some community members behind. I'd like to see us get the foundation for the commissioners with the training. I'd like to see us get the investigators on board. And then once we give them the foundation, start working for, you know, obviously giving the case review foundation as well, all those things. And as far as the community, we now have so many of the very important topics that we can build on now with them. I don't know. You know, I think, I don't know. I think this commission is so aggressive. We want to handle something and handle it correctly and thoroughly, and not just move from one topic to another to check off a list. Not that we're checking off a list, but we want to give it the due diligence that these generations old topics deserve.
Okay. I feel comfortable with that. Any input, Dennis?
I have one question for you. And you talked about having a spreadsheet of trainings that people have already gone through. Have you shared that with us?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, would you share it with me again?
Yes, I'm happy to. I'm happy to.
It's on the
I mean,
Google Drive.
There's stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that we get
Yes.
that
Yes.
some is obviously overlooked. That one that was overlooked because I'm not even sure what I've been trained in yet. And so if you have a record of me,
it's on the list.
I have you, and I've been putting dates in when I just basically I look at the minutes when they're published, and I just put the dates in of who was there. So I don't know if you were paying attention or not, Dennis, but I got your date. If you were in the room,
Well, the funny,
I was there. You know.
Well, the funny thing is, the date that you had for Brown Act was very helpful. You had the same date on there for all these commissioners for Brown Act, which helped me to go back to that meeting and find the present. I couldn't find the presentation anywhere. I was like, what did we talk about on that day? And so I went to your spreadsheet, found the date, went to the meeting. Thank you.
So all right. Well, now the spreadsheet is in your hands because I'm not doing the dates.
So I was going to ask you, I can do that from now on. It's okay.
It's yours. It's your spreadsheet now. Paul.
Thank you.
If it works for you, right? Like I just
does.
created something in case it would be helpful. And if it doesn't work for you, make something else.
No. This is fine. Thank you.
Okay. And now I'm looking for one more thing. Okay. So, so the other thing that's on the special topics, but I think we can let go of it for now, is that youth adult partnership thing. And we did a presentation to the commission back in December, and they approved having us do that training. And the idea for that training is because we have youth, 18 to 24-year-olds on our commission, they're sitting with us, like, how do we want to be in relation to them? I think of them as equals, right? And I don't know training would do to help us, like maybe what we thought we needed in December, maybe we don't need because we're functioning well. Or is that training something that's important so that we don't devolve into, dismissing them, or I'm not even really 100% sure, honestly. But that topic is on the special topics, but the commission did approve having us do a half day on this topic just so that we could include everybody of every age in our
It's interesting.
commission as equals.
That's interesting. Dennis, may I just jump in real quick? Sorry.
Yeah, go.
I didn't want to interrupt. We now have our two technical youth commissioners. Okay, Gonzalo Rocha Vasquez and Viviana Ortega. So we now have our two. Now, also, interestingly enough, we have at least one other who's not in the youth category, but we're going to have him for maybe another month or so, and that's Daniel Mendoza. So I think he's going to be leaving, but we'll have to here, let them kind of get acclimated to being on the commission and see how the communication's going, see if there's, and then I think then at that point, if we think that it's not being maximized, because that's what I'm understanding, maybe these communication styles are different, then we address it at that point. But let's just see what shakes out with the new commissioners.
And maybe we can rely on staff to reach out to them and say, hey, how are you feeling about being on this commission? So that we don't, if they're feeling like, yeah, I was supposedly co-chair of this committee, and that Darlene, all she did was take charge all the time and I never got a voice or something, just like if staff can proactively reach out to make sure.
Definitely. We will definitely do that. I've already been talking to Gonzalo, and then Viviana I met last week. And so I explained to both of them the importance of their voice and that this commission needs the youth voice, and for them to make sure that they are heard, and we will help them. I already had that conversation, not even knowing that this was something that might have been a concern. So we'll emphasize that again Wednesday when Viviana's at the overview training. But I think maybe we just hold off on that. Dennis, your thoughts?
First of all, I don't think that we don't listen to youth. I think that they have been pretty much included. In fact, all of you are much younger than I am, so I consider you youth. But I
love you, Dennis.
But actually, I don't think that it's a problem. I think that, but we do. I think it's always wise to reach out and say, "How are you feeling?" and getting their feedback. But if they do not feel, hopefully they're not feeling overwhelmed by their position on the commission, and they feel that they have equal voice, because I don't think philosophically anybody has an objection to them having an equal voice. So I'm good with that. And we have younger people who, like myself, don't follow the rules all the time, but that's okay too. I think over time people kind of are groomed into this is how we operate, and I think that'll come. In terms of special training, I would reach out to them first before we set aside time for special training. Allow them to get the same training as everybody else, and they'll interpret their position in their own way.
Yeah, I agree. I think very well put. I agree. Darlene, you good with that?
Yeah, I'm great with that. And then my last question for tonight is, I feel like, I'm so glad, Paul, you're with us. I feel like you're really doing a fantastic job you know, you're taking on all the responsibilities, including the training, really well. What role should this committee play? And that'll like, and what do you need from us to support you and what you're doing? And that'll help us figure out like, and how often should we meet? Because it feels, I'm starting to feel in this moment that meeting every week is excessive.
Would agree. I have very strong feelings, and Dennis knows how I feel about the number of meetings that we have, but I understand it. I understand that this is what was needed. For me, you folks, for me, have laid the foundation. You've laid the train. You've said what you want. You said why you want it. Let me and staff now get it to you. That's the way I look at it. And I'm looking at that. And once we get the policy manager on board, I look at that too with, you know, the pursuits and now the pretext stuff. That's going to be another committee, I'm sure. But a lot of that research is going to be done by our policy people, or our policy person, plus maybe some of the investigators come on. I think we have to begin to transition to allow the committee, the commissioners to step back a little bit, focus on their case reviews, let us run with giving you the foundation and everything else to really, because that's really what it should be. So for me, I think meeting every week is excessive. I think I would, of course, I think it's fair to say, okay, Paul, we want a weekly or every other week. Send us an update on training. Keep us in the loop. You know, make sure we know what's up. If you need help from us or whatever, let's reconvene. Or maybe you you know, something like that. That's the way I look at it. But I'll leave it up to you folks.
Yeah, I was thinking a couple things. One was like maybe meet in a month and see if we ever need to meet again. The other was maybe we just don't need this committee anymore. It was supposed to be ad hoc anyway. But you're suggesting sending out an update via email, like we go to just an email committee until we have a need for a Zoom again. I don't know.
You know what? How about this? Let me send you out weekly updates for a month. We meet after a month anyway, right? Just to make sure you folks are okay with where we're going and how I'm implementing your direction, your guidelines, and if you have any concerns. And then at that point, then we reassess. But then for right now, during the transition, I should give you a weekly update as to where we are. And then we all get back together, like I said, in a month. You say, yeah, Paul, you know what? I like this. I don't like this. And then we decide at that point, you know what? Seems like staff has this. Let's not have this committee anymore. You folks have done what you need to do, which is identify the onboarding, identify the ongoing. I don't know what else you should be doing.
Okay, so I'm gonna reach out to Alina and tell her that to cancel these meetings, the weekly ones, and just have us meet again on the 16th. And then after that, we'll tell her if we need to meet again. How does that sound?
On 16th September,
Yeah,
so that's the whole month.
yeah,
Yep.
that's what I thought.
Are we needing to have something for before the 4th when we have the presentation by Sharon?
I think I'll keep you in the loop as to what she's going to be. We all know what we know the topic that she's going to be training on. And then I'll keep you in the loop if there's any changes, if all of a sudden everything falls through with the city or something. I don't know. But as far as the topic, you know the topic, you know when she's going to be there. I'll keep you in the loop. But I don't think so, other than me just making sure once a week, at minimum, you folks know what I know.
I mean, I'm not looking for other meetings because I'm looking at my calendar right now. And I'm looking at 17, 21, 22,
Yeah.
24 is out now, 31. You know, so all those days are already taken. So I'm good with not having another meeting, but I just want to make sure that we're clear, particularly on Sharon's presentation.
Okay, I will, at this point, again, everything's in Johnny's court. I actually met with all staff. I meet with all staff every Monday. We meet for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. We talk about everything going on. John A is on top of that, getting her here. That's really where we are right now. And as far as the content, the content's been, I don't see a power, I don't see her presentation just yet. I'm sure I'll ask for maybe a copy of it. Obviously, we're going to need it before the presentation, before she comes in. But I'll keep you folks in the loop. And if you don't,
you're gonna have, and you were talking about providing us with vendors for the anti-bias training.
that's right. That's right. The ones Dwayne has already given me, I just have to reach out to and see what the cost is. And I don't have those right in front of me, but I do have a list that was provided by Dwayne Bennett.
Okay. All right.
That's great. And I guess we reserve the right to say, we need a meeting, but
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, of course.
I trust your communication, and we'll just see how it goes.
But we'll see how many questions you have the next time, and we'll see if we need any more meetings.
The goal is, yes.
Question.
All right, folks. Hey, well, keep in mind, so this Wednesday, it's up to you folks. This Wednesday from 6 to 8, Dwayne is available, Commissioner Lawton, Commissioner Ortega. I'll look at the spreadsheet, see if anybody else needs a Brown Act, conflict of interest, confidentiality. I'll make sure I brief the cabinet on all this tomorrow, or actually Dennis will brief the cabinet on all this tomorrow. I'll be there to back them up. And then I will include you folks in the Zoom link, just in case you have a couple of moments just to pop in, introduce yourself, or if you want to be there and see what Dwayne's saying, or learn, or talk about some of the ethics or whatever else that might be covered that maybe you need. All right. So I'll keep you folks in the loop with that. I'll send it out tomorrow. I'm not going to do anything else tonight.
Okay. Peace
All
out.
right.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
folks.
all.
Thank you for all your work. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye.